everybody. Welcome to Pints with Parkscope, the non-super tired version with Joe. How's everyone doing? I hope you had a good Labor Day weekend. I had an awesome one at Universal for Halloween Horror Nights. And again, we'll be talking about more Halloween Horror Nights, won't we? Yeah, so let's get into this. The drink I am drinking tonight, a wonderful Pumpkin Nitro. It's in a can. Ooh, that sounded cool. There's something always been awesome about nitro beers. I don't know why. But it's pouring out like milk, almost. It's kind of weird. I love it. Oh, look at that. That's gorgeous. Oh, man. Looks really good. But anyways, how's everyone doing? I hope you're doing well. Because, man, I'm tired. It's been a long weekend. I can't do this anymore. I'm 35 now. Last time I did Horror Nights, I was 33. And I just can't do this shit anymore. Because then I can't do the 2 a.m., nearly 2 a.m. closes to, and waking up at 10. Can't do that anymore. My body just won't let me do it. So, I kind of gave an initial impressions of the event on Friday night at like 2:30 in the morning, just to get something out. But I want to dive right into like more thoughts, and I've done more stuff, so I want to kind of give my overall thoughts. Also because I'm writing the touring plans review for the event, and I just want to kind of talk through my feelings and and kind of like make sure I know where I'm at and what I want to do here. So let's do this off. Let's get this off on the road. So let's start with the haunted houses. This is a really, really strong year for the houses. And it feels like it's been that way for a while now. I don't think we've had a bad house since Lunatic's Playground in 26. So 27, 28, 29, and 30, I don't think we've had a bad house. Which is, a pretty good run. Also, I don't think outside of Scarecrow, Slaughter Cinema, and Stranger Things, and a few other ones, we haven't really had a like high caliber, top tier, incredible house either. And we're getting pretty close this year, but we'll go through that. Let's just talk about those two that I think we get pretty close to this year. The first one is Wicked Growth, which is the closest you get to Scarecrow, in my opinion, in a very long time. Delicious. This gets, as I said, as close as you can to Scarecrow, except instead of it just being scarecrows, it kind of dives into all the Halloween stuff. So you get witches, you get goblins, you get all sorts of cool stuff in there. Some cool effects, some cool, a lot of things that you don't necessarily expect. There's one, also we're going to be getting into somewhat spoilers here, so I would skip this if you're, well, actually, you know what, I'm not going to do spoilers. I just want to, I'll keep everything kind of brief. But I'll try to avoid any scenes that we directly describe. But this house has some really cool scares. There's some interesting things that are done with the how scare actors are placed and what they interact with. Also in the middle of the house has a really, really neat effect that is under you and around you. I just don't want to give too much away, but it is very Halloween-y. It's pretty, really, really cool. I really liked it. I thought the end maybe was the weakest part, just because you just have the Pumpkin Lord there and he's just kind of chilling. It's not necessarily like, there's a stinger scare or something like that. But it's still pretty good. The next one I really liked was Haunting a Hill House. I've actually not seen the show. So just to give you an idea that this is not something that is based on if you've seen the show or not, if it's good. Because I think that's a lot of problems that people get into. Like, oh, you've seen the show. Well, it's bad, it's good. Whatever. But nope, I haven't seen the show. But I really like the scares in this house. They did some really unique ones. There's one area where they can literally hit you 3 times with the same thing. So that's pretty cool that if you really can't miss it unless you're very, 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 very unlucky. And I've only heard about that happening once, so say what you will. I think there's some really creepy effects. I think there's some real weird and just spooky stuff in the house. It's a very much a kind of a spook house, old school kind of haunted house vibe to it. That I think really sets the mood and really is a very much a Halloween Horror Nights house. It just feels like a Halloween Horror Nights house. So that I really like that house. And I really think of the IPs, it's the best one, which is saying a lot. Next up, I really liked was Puppet Theater. I think the next few are a little step underneath the Wicked Growth and Haunting Hill House for me. But Puppet Theater has a lot of unique puppets, just like a lot of different puppets. And what's cool is that they really come at you with the scares in this one. You're going to get some unique stuff that I haven't seen in a while. You're going to get, the scare actor hiding in something, which, we haven't seen since Scarecrow, or the scare act, like the 1-2 punch of scare actors, or scare actors pushing people, kind of like scaring them through the house so they keep moving. Things like that. A lot of cool effects like that. I also really like the that they had like a scare actor doing a soliloquy, and that was a cool scare with people around him and things that he could do, and just a kind of a very unique thing that you don't see in many houses, or if they're done in houses before, I don't think they're as done as well. So Puppet Theater was really, really good. Bride of Frankenstein Lives. We did it last year. Y'all should know by now what's up with Bride. I really like Bride of Frankenstein Lives. They added some more scare actors. So the first thing you see as you enter the house is the falling of the ruins outside of from the end of the movie, and you're supposed to look through it like through the wall, but they opened up the wall a ton. Like it used to be like a brick or two missing. Now it feels like they've shot like a cannon through it. So it's like you can't miss it, guys. It's like right here. So that's my only negative, but otherwise they've really, it's the same house we saw last year. They've improved it with more actors, and it's just a really solid house. I really enjoy that one. The Icons house, Halloween Horror Nights Icons. It's like captured? Was it? Yeah, I think that's what it's captured. Why didn't I forget to put captured in there? Whatever. I wrote it as a love letter to the fans of the event. You're going to see a lot of cool things in here. You're going to see Fear. You're going to see all the icons, all the major ones from the past several years. You will not see Blood and Bone because they're not icons, so you guys can sit down. Because I know there's a whole contingent about them being the best icons, but they can do things. Yeah. One of the cool things I really liked is that all the victims in the house are actually victims from that year of the event. So in the Lady Luck room, you'll get people wearing the icon shirt, like the Halloween Horror Nights 22 shirt. Or 21. Was it 21? I think it was 21. Sorry about that. For Jack's room, it's all, 25 and stuff like that. So you get that really interesting kind of crossover, and it's just very interesting and very cool. It's just to see that, and in the ending where various icons win is kind of funny because everyone's like, "Oh, Jack's gonna win," but it's kind of funny to see the usher up there or the storyteller and all that stuff. I still want to see everyone up there. I'd like to see Chance. Honestly, I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I really liked Icons Captured. And it's just a real fun house. I liked it a lot. Revenge of the Tooth Fairy is from last year also, and it's a pretty known quantity. They added actors. One of the best things they did was last year, there's the infirmary room, and they had all the sheets you'd walk through, like around, and they were all covered in way more so than in any house right now. Is all that was basically shower curtains, and they got rid of all that. It's just regular old towels, like just regular old sheets now. So thank God for that. That was legitimately the worst instance of that I saw, and that was last year. So it was very good to see that gone. But otherwise, it's exactly the same thing from last year. It was really good. A great facade. But it's exactly what you know. I mean, it's Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. Come on. We did it last year. Case Files Unearthed Legendary Truth. I really like this one. The big problem is that the house story doesn't really make any sense. You get thrown into... It starts as so basically the house is like a conspiracy theory unfolding of a guy doing his own research, into all these mysterious files and what have nots and cases with bad guys that Boris Schuster dealt with. And basically the theme is he's diving through these old detective novels, and he's doing it as in uncovering Boris's files and unlocking these totems. And it all happens, the whole house, in real, as the real time it happens. So the scares are flashbacks, but this main story itself happens over the original Halloween Horror Nights, which I think was really cool. So it starts on October 25th, and you see a thing, and then it ends on the 31st, or something like that. So that was really, really cool. I thought that was a really neat touch. But it's just a really confusing story to explain to anyone besides this is the true crime or the crime detective novel version of Slaughter Cinema, where you just have the giant covers of the novels, and then you have the one or two rooms with the monster or whatever they're doing. So it's a good house. I liked it, but it really does suffer that way. The coolest part of the house is the New York section. They actually recreated New York from Universal Studios Florida. More specifically, the Kitty Cat Club exit exterior. And you get to go in the Kitty Cat Club, and inside was jazz singers. They had a jazz singer up on stage with horns, like a succubus, drawing us in, and there were scare actors around her, coming out at you. But it's credible. They had an actual jazz singer in there, and she was vamping and talking to the guests and singing, and it was wonderful. I think we really need more live mic'd actors in houses. It was probably the best part of Ghostbusters. This is definitely the best part of Legendary Truth. Really, really liked that. That was really enjoyable and a lot of fun. Next up is Scary Horror in the Heartland. Same kind of problem. There's not really much story there, and it's kind of confusing where you're at. What I thought was Hive was actually something else, and vice versa, and things aren't necessarily that clear. The only two parts that really stood out that were very clear what it was Meaty Meats and totally blanking on it right now. But yeah, the Meaty Meats and the HR Blood and Guts. Thank you. Sorry about that. Wow. Those really stood out. They were very clear what those were. And it was still pretty good. I just think it was lacking something. I don't know. It's hard to put my finger on it. But that's kind of where my heart lays with that one. Next up, I think this is another layer down, is Beetlejuice. It's fun. It's funny. Beetlejuice, when we went, once he was mic'd, the other time he was just pantomiming, it seemed like, which is perfectly fine, whatever. But it's good when they're mic'd, because then they could just interact with you, and it's pretty cool. But what was neat is it's more of a fun house than it is a haunted house. And a lot of what you see in the house is very drawn out. They go with movie quotes a lot, so it's very kind of this activated trigger is going to be 15 seconds long. It's not going to be quick. It's not going to be pithy. And that's kind of the problem it runs into, is like it doesn't give time for things to breathe, and when it just kind of, yeah, there's too many empty spaces, and it just felt really weird, and like I don't know. It sucks when I say it that way, you know what I mean? But it is what it is, and yeah, it's just a little disappointing. I thought they could have gone a little bit crazier with it. I thought it would have been fun to see something more practical for the Carnival Beetlejuice, for example, for such an iconic and like a thing that's literally the image of the event. To see it basically be boiled down to a static prop that you see for 5 seconds is kind of disappointing. So, yeah, Beetlejuice. Finally, last but not least, is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've never liked Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've never really seen the movie, and I'm okay with that, really. The house in 2016 was okay. The smell got to me. This one doesn't have the smell, thank God. Also, we have masks, so that helps. But I thought the house was good. I thought it was fine. The best part's the ending, when they just kind of decide to throw a bunch of leather faces at you with chainsaws and you have to run through them. That was fun. But like, you know what you're going to get into. It's going to be dark. It's going to be a lot of taxidermy and a lot of gore. And that's about it. That's exactly what you should expect for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Again, not bad. It's not bad, but it's just, you know, if someone's like, okay, Joe, we got a 15-minute wait for Chainsaw, we have a 15-minute wait for Brides, and we have a 15-minute wait for Tooth, and a 15-minute wait for Icons. Out of those, like, I just definitely the last one I'd choose. I'd be like, oh yeah, let's go do Brides, let's go do Tooth, let's do, you know, whatever. Let's do Icons. So, Scare Zones. Let's go my least favorite to my favorite. Seek and Destroy, my least favorite. I gave this one 2.5 stars, and I'm pretty much sticking with it. I think it's one of the weakest things in the event, honestly. I understand what they're going with. They're trying to make this sterile 70s-like dystopia vibe that you would see in THX 1138 or Logan's Run. It doesn't necessarily work. I think they need to rethink it a little bit. It's not, again, bad, but they need to do something. They need to either roam in packs or do more with the spotlights or something. I just don't know. But it's not my favorite. Next is Crypt TV. Very much the selfie scare zone. Monsters look great. They're all on stages. No one's really scaring anyone. It's just a vibe zone, which is okay. You know, it's fine. It's totally fine. Gorewood Forest, and I would say the next two are kind of tied. Gorewood Forest is really beautiful to look at. The trees have like vines on, like they look like veins almost, is the best way. I've heard them described as like the trees like are on fire on the inside, but they more look like veins because like some of them are blue. I think that's super cool. Like just thinking that these trees are like alive in this weird way, which is just super cool. Excuse me. The Terra Queen doesn't do much of anything, which is disappointing. But everything in the scare zone just looks really nice and is really good. So I put this one in the middle of the pack. Next up is 30 Years, 30 Fears. I think this one is you kind of have to grade Production Central scare zones on a curve because they have to deal with the parade. So like you can only do so much in there. Plus, you know, you're one of the main arteries into the event. Plus, it's only like a certain size. So like there's only so much you can actually do with the scare zone, and I think they've kind of nailed it. You want it to be somewhat scary with some cool effects and some, you know, posing for photos. Like you got the giant 30 Years, 30 Fears signs with the icons. You've got people on stages. You've got stilt walkers. You got fire. I think it sets the tone. It sets the vibe. I think it works perfectly fine for what it is. It's not conceptually flawed. Like I think Seek and Destroy. Well, Seek and Destroy isn't conceptually flawed. It's not flawed, deeply flawed, like Seek and Destroy is. But it's not also a standout. I think what was the Harvest? I want to say it was for 28. I think that was probably the best one I've seen there. That one, and I really like Masquerade, but I understand why that wasn't some people's. But Harvest was really good that year. And then my number one scare zone is Lights, Camera, Action, Eddie's Revenge. I really like the scare zone. I think this cast is going all out. They're going nuts. They're really interacting with everyone. They're going out and going wild. I think the theme's a lot of fun. I think all the props are cool. You get to see like Fan 55 again. You get to see Invasion again. You get to see Treeks and Foons again. I think everything's great. I really liked. I really liked Haction. It's a really good zone. So I would say that's the best one. All those zones, even the Eddies, I'm only giving 3.5 stars. It's not like this is like some big wide range between them. I just don't think the scare zones are as great as the houses, and that's just kind of my general feeling on it. I know Brian McNichols from Torque Plans is the opposite. He likes scare zones more, but whatever. For shows, Marathon of Mayhem, Carnage Factory, it's good. It's a Lagoon show. What was really weird, so what I really liked with last events is, excuse me, they did like the opening with the Wolfman soundtrack, I think it was, and it's like and then they kind of just cut and went to the 80s, and they kind of did it as like a general Halloween Horror Nights intro. I wish they just kept that. Made that like, how like Disney has the Wonderful World of Color that they do for every time for all the versions of World of Color? Well, Universal just do that for Halloween Horror Nights. Every single opening should be that music of that kind of opening, and then it should do that weird cut into that year's show. And they just kind of don't do that, which I thought was a really missed opportunity. I think everything looks good. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was really funny because they had like marching chainsaws. It was very brick in the wall-esque, if you kind of get my drift. Haunting Hill House is perfectly fine. The Classic Universal Monsters is always fun. That was a really good one. And the original Horror Nights Icons is good. It's about 10 minutes long, so it doesn't overstay its welcome, which is a perfect length. I just think it's definitely a step down from 29. But, of course, 29 was almost like a perfect storm, so can't do anything, wrong, really, I guess. I gave it 3.5 stars. I think it's a show that you should definitely check out. Worth your time. It just doesn't go the places that 29 did, because it just doesn't have what 29 could work with, honestly. I mean, for crying out loud, it had Stranger Things and Ghostbusters and all sorts of stuff. Next up is Halloween Nightmare Fuel. Oh boy, this show. Halloween Nightmare Fuel is insane. It is crazy. So for people who know what happened with Academy of Villains, they had some very credible accusations about basically workplace abuse and other abuses. And it was real bad, and there's enough people and enough credibility that Universal just backed away and said, "Nope, this isn't it anymore." And it doesn't sound like Academy of Villains is a thing anymore because of all this. Which abuse is terrible. Blah blah blah. It sucks that a lot of people got caught up into this, and then people thought they were awesome, and turns out they were bad. But we're trying to get rid of predators, so it's good that that's over. But so the Universal kind of decided to go with a internal team to make their variety show. I want to call these variety shows because I'm not really sure what else to call them. This Halloween Nightmare Fuel combines aerialists, fire handlers, dancers, and magicians. So a while ago we started teasing Magnus Utopia, this guy who was on Britain's Got Talent, like he could be doing the show. And he's not doing the show, but they worked with him on the special effects and magic. So, if you watch some of those videos, some of those effects are directly in this show. Excuse me. So, if you watched it and the term bed rings a bell, that's in this show. Or cage is in this show. Or that one freaky pedaling thing, it's in the show as magic tricks. But in addition, there's some aerialists and gymnasts. There's really three main aerialist acts. One lady with a pole, one guy with the ropes, and then he comes back out and does something else. I forget off the top of my head because my mind was blowing at this point. I was just like, and then just a ton of fire, like 3 fire handlers, and they're spinning stuff and juggling, and at the end of the show, they're fire breathing. It was intense. It was a lot, and it was pretty cool. Stuff I've never seen before, and it all is bookended by all these magic tricks, so it kind of ties everything together, and it's really cool. I think this show is completely not to be missed. However, this is unquestionably 100% without a doubt the most erotic show Universal's ever done. There is a lot of skin-tight leather, men and women. There's a lot of suggestive dancing that really pushes everything beyond what you've seen before. This isn't Bill and Ted's quote-unquote sexy dancing. Excuse me. This is really provocative shit. I've seen people compare it to BDSM. I don't think it's anything like that, anything close. But if the idea of seeing lots of like glistening, very fit early 20-somethings dancing in tight leather and possibly like getting very close is a problem, or first of all, you're at Halloween Horror Nights. I don't know what event you're going to. That's like, this is Halloween Horror Nights. This is not, Rock the Universe. So, first of all. Second of all, just keep that in mind. Maybe if you've decided to erroneously bring your kids to this event, this is probably the show you want to skip. Otherwise, I still highly recommend this show. It is wonderful. I can't wait to see it again. It's really good. Food and beverage. After all these years of Halloween Horror Nights offering some middling at best food, best thing, for the longest time was Twisted Taters. Then they got into pizza fries, and then they really got into a lot of stuff. This year's food offerings are just really good. So let me... I forgot to open a window. So we haven't tried everything, but we tried, I think, a good cross section of the food this year. So what we tried this year was I have not tried the Fryer and Ice. I want to try that one. That one's the extra long fries with chocolate soft serve dip. That just sounds like a Wendy's fries and Frosty. I'm trying that next time. But I tried the bourbon candied pork belly, which is skewered thick cut bacon coated in apple bourbon candy coating. Wonderful. I do want to try the Monte Cristo waffle stick there. And I also want to try that there. At the Classic Monsters Cafe, they have a bunch of stuff that I have not had, so never mind. At Wicked Growth, I tried the Bog Slime, which is gin, lime juice, and homemade matcha cardamom syrup. It's really good, but it's also very earthy. That comes from the matcha cardamom syrup. Keep that in mind. The first one I got, it was a little syrupy, so it tasted like earth in a way. It tasted like how Scarecrow smelled. Another one I got tasted much better. So keep that in mind. The one I got, food-wise was the gyoza. The gyoza was wonderful. It's a spicy ground turkey with butternut squash. It's dumplings. It was really, really good. We got it 2 nights in a row, and just absolutely delicious. Loved it, loved it, loved it. We also got the jalapeno bacon grilled cheese. It was almost like a jalapeno popper. So, best way to put it is that they have their grilled cheese, but this one actually seals the edges, so it's almost like a jalapeno popper. You bite into it, and you got the jalapeno and the cream cheese, and it's really, really good. It was fantastic. I really liked it. Then they also had a brisket grilled cheese, which brisket, a pepper jack, onions, tomatoes. We liked it, but the brisket was very salty. That's the only thing. I want to try the Tempa Reuben. That sounds pretty good. We also had the the Poison Tea Party, which is iced tea and lemonade rum punch with huckleberry and allspice. Yo, if you want your day to be real bad, real quick, get some of those, because that is a really good drink. That is really good. It is dangerous how good that drink is. We also, I did not have this, but my friend did. He had the Jacked Donut Slider, which is a beef patty with bacon jam and American cheese on a bourbon glazed donut. And it's served with potato chips, homemade potato chips. And he says it was amazing. Probably the best thing he had at the whole thing. It's very small. It's those little baby donuts. But he says it was just perfectly sweet and smoky, salty and fatty and everything. He says it was perfect. It was wonderful. So I definitely want to try that. So right now, when I go back down, I want to try that the donut slider. I want to try the Monte Cristo waffle. I want to try that fryer and ice. I want to try the and all that stuff at the Monsters Cafe. And I still want to do the pumpkin guts, but I talked to someone about it and they said they didn't like it, so I don't know. And maybe the Texas Chainsaw food. But yeah, that's the food offerings. So to close out this podcast real quick, this is a good year. It's not so far, it's not my favorite year, but of course, it's the first weekend. I'm not going to sign, seal, and deliver this thing right quite yet. Nothing is kind of raised up to the level of Scarecrow or other things, but nothing's also plunged to the depths of, really bad houses. So I'm okay with that. Previously, you'd almost have 2 bad houses a year. Now it's like you don't have any bad houses. They're all really good. So that's I think really good. For COVID, there was really no protection outside of casts wearing masks. So if the idea of people not social distancing or people not wearing masks freaks you out, don't go. Plain and simple. For me, I had N95 masks. I felt fine. I put those on when I was outside when in a crowd, and I didn't feel comfortable, and I put them inside the house or food locations whenever I entered them. Simple as that. Felt protected. I felt fine. N95 not only is about what you breathe out, but also what you breathe in. So that's kind of why I feel better about it. This is good beer. Other last minute thoughts. I'm excited to go back down. I'll be back down 15th through the 20th. So if you see me there, say hi. And there's plenty of friends I need to hang out with again who I haven't seen. And hopefully we're going to have this review article should be up by the time this podcast is up. So go check that out at touringplans.com. And leave some impressions. Tell me what you think in the comments. All that fun stuff. Anyways, this has been a long episode. I know I've been drinking this beer for a while. This is not kind of the point of this whole entire podcast. Usually it's supposed to be 15 minutes. This is now 35. But it's Halloween Horror Nights. What can I say? Finishing the beer real quick. Howl Scream starts this weekend. I believe it starts on the 10th. on Friday. I'm very excited to see what this turns into. I am hoping for the best for SeaWorld. I am hoping best for the cast and everyone involved. It already looks like they are planning on 2022. Very, very aggressive. I like it. I hope it does well. I also hope everyone's cool and not screw Horror Nights. They don't do masks / vinyl sucks. Hollowscream's my new best friend now. Stuff. They're multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar companies charging you money for stuff. They're not your friends. You may be friends with people who run or operate it, but it's a job. Enjoy the event. Don't attach anything more to it. It's perfectly fine. I hope Hollowscream goes great. I hope they do wonderful. I really think that there's a market in Orlando for this. The problem is that you just can't build it up like some of the other events tried to do and didn't do well for obvious reasons. But yeah, it's really exciting, and I can't wait. I'm going to be waiting with bated breath on my couch on Friday night as everyone runs around trying to do everything. So, yep. So, I'll see you guys later, and have a good weekend. Bye.